The second fundamental choice that relationally intelligent people make is they invest large amounts of time into relational development. Remember that relationships are the currency in the human economy. The Bible has a lot to say about the idea of fellowship, or what some refer to as community. In one instance, in Acts chapter 2, we notice that people did life together. They spent time together day in and day out. Now, we often try to create first century community on a 21st century timetable. The single biggest obstacle that we face in cultivating deeper relationships, I believe, is our rhythm of life, or you could say busyness. I mean, how often have we said, let's get together soon in some form or another, when things settle down? Life's so busy for me right now. Or people even ask how you're doing, and everybody says, I'm busy, as if it's like a badge of honor. Or people in churches, they intend to get in a small group, and they'll say something like, when things slow down, or when life is less busy, or maybe, in a couple months or something. What relationally intelligent people do is they carve out significant amounts of unrushed time to spend with people to simply foster deeper relationships. They don't let busyness win. They don't let the culture override God's value system. People who are high achievers tend to be more susceptible to being poor relationally, emotionally, even spiritually. Research backs this up. Relationally intelligent people don't try to microwave friendships or parenting or marriage. And think about it. Nobody can listen well in a hurry. Nobody can mourn with those who mourn or rejoice with those who rejoice, as the Bible says, at Mach 3 speed, or while preoccupied with everything you have to get done for the day. I mean, there's no way around it. Connecting deeply with people requires time and energy and presence. And then you'll run into brokenness in the other person, which makes it all the more complicated. In the short run, it's easier not to connect because it's hard, at least at times. But for some of you, right, you have to break through the shyness and you have to take conversational risks. Personally, I'm a little bit more of an introvert, at least in social settings, and that's a challenge for me. For others of you, it might be something like jealousy or competitiveness, and that's a challenge for you. But there's all different challenges, and working through these things to get to the other side, it takes time, it takes work, it takes showing up, it takes courage even, but it's important. And it's something that relationally intelligent people do because they know it cultivates relational health. There's relational development as part of their ethos, and they build it, and they're intentional about it. And doing this propels those people, as well as others, toward relational and even spiritual maturity. Recently, I had a friendship where tension and conflict surfaced. Nothing new, nothing surprising. And man, it took hours. It took hours of conversation to just work through it, to get on the other side of things, to find resolution. I didn't really want to talk to this guy and talk it through, but there was conflict and it needed to happen. And I know we're imperfect people, all of us, but if we could just connect, right? We think if we could just connect with perfect people who could, just be there when we need them and not require or demand anything from us, wouldn't that be nice? What if they just listened to us and agreed with our side of the story and not create any conflict? That'd be so nice, but that's not reality. We all know that. I used to be a part of a church. They used to use this term EGRs. Maybe you've heard this term, extra grace required, right? You're in a small group or something, and maybe you're a small group leader, and there's someone in there, there's some extra grace required. If you're in a small group now and you don't know anyone like that, well, you're probably that person, perhaps. I don't know. Just saying. But anyhow, on a serious note, this is a biblical truth and is a core component of understanding that we need to, really get our minds around, right, in this quest to become relationally intelligent. And it's just that everybody is normal until you get to know them. I love that book title by John Orper. Everyone's normal until you get to know them. Yeah, we're all imperfect people. We're all flawed, right? And to face things like conflict and to engage in healthy relationships, it takes work. It's difficult. And if you think about it, this idea flows out of the doctrine of the fall and the nature of sin, because everybody has flaws, everybody has brokenness, everybody has blind spots. We have patterns of sin. We have things we want to keep hidden. We have strange habits. We have fears, pride, all kinds of junk. We're not fully transformed yet. Again, that's all of us. And that means that any authentic, deep connection, it's going to take time and work and intentionality. And if you think you can fit it into the cracks and crammed margins of your exhausting schedule, it's not going to happen. Relationally intelligent people know this. It's crazy to me, but we We'll be intentional about our jobs and chores and groceries and fitting in, going to the dentist, which nobody wants to do, and exercise. But when it comes to what matters most, intimate relationships, healthy, strong relationships, people let things drift. They ignore things, they deny things, they push it away. And eventually we get used to living this way without stewarding what matters most. Why? Relational intelligent people know you have to create structures and routines. Why? Because people are unwilling to do that. But you have to have these structures and routines to support key relationships in your life, whether it's friends, kids, your spouse, neighbors, whomever. And personally, I have certain rhythms I've sometimes learned the hard way in life that I build into my life around family, for one, that cultivates a deeper connection with my wife, a deeper connection with my kids, because I know this stuff can be overlooked and pushed aside or just lost sight of. And I have at least one time I spend intentionally with a non-believing person each week because I know that's important for me as a follower of Jesus and as part of the mission that God has on my life of helping other people who are searching for God discover God and get to know God and sharing Christ with them in different ways. That's one thing I do. Another thing I do is I have a time slot that I spend with a good friend each week who's not in my family. And I carve that out. And I do my best to consistently carve out time. Sometimes it's on the phone, but often in person if I can, with the people who are most important to me in my life, making that a priority. Or maybe even to people who I sense God calling me to, even for a season. I think relational development is something we can all grow in because it would do us all some good to add a bit more intentionality to the relationships in our lives. So, what's your next step? What one thing will you do, can you do this week to develop a relationship that might even in your life need a little extra TLC? What's the next step? Decide right now and make a choice you're going to do that this week.